Okay.
Go, Greg.
Thanks, Kyle. Okay, so yeah, so our name is Team Weekend Coders. There's 5 of us. I think Kyle and Anuj are both on the West Coast or Arizona, and I think Bailey and Brady were Central Time Zone. So I know all of us have jobs in addition to going. So I think that was one of the challenging aspects for us, because we all had you know, work life outside of the school. So it was challenging at times. One of the things I really was impressed though is that I think almost every week we always made at least one meeting, and I think there was only a couple times where one person couldn't make it throughout the 6-week period. So everybody really though made an effort to at least communicate and stay in touch with what we were working on and so on. So we decided to go with a CRM type of product. So, and Jerry, you can see my screen. Everybody else can, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so this is our login here. So, and oh, well, let me back up. So there is a register screen. So you are able to register. It doesn't do any kind of, we didn't get anything as far as authorization or say verification. Like it doesn't send an email. Basically, you put in a somewhat of a valid email and any password within a certain length, it will accept it and it will allow you to log in. So once you log in, let me log in here. So when we log in, this was our leads. So we log in with a list of our leads. And so the idea was to have a CRM where we would track leads and you know, try to follow up on them to communicate, get business from them and so on in a business type environment. So this is kind of like the main lead list. From here, you can click the new button and then you can add a lead. Add a lead here. So I'll just put in here, Tom Hanks. I'll just do that. Tom at Hanks.com. And then you can submit it, and it comes back to the main list with Tom Hanks in there. And then we have this button here to where we can view then the details of the lead. Also, if you notice, like not all the same fields are here when you enter the fields. So the assigned to and the lead status and the notes are additional fields that you wouldn't have when you necessarily entered the lead, but would need to be entered and updated as time went on. So then here from you can click the edit, and then you can change things. So I can change his name, lead assigned to Anuj. You know, this guy has the dough, you know, whatever. And then save that. And then you can go back and then you can click and go back here to your main list. And then also, obviously, from inside your details, you can also then delete a record here. Do you want to delete it? And I think it's gone. Yeah, I think it was gone. I'll do one more just to make sure that's working. We had some issues here. Yeah, so that's gone. And so what happened was we got through this probably about halfway to 2/3 through our time. So then we wanted to try to add some additional functionality. So we added a task list then too. So it integrated a task list into the program. So here's very similar. Obviously, we were able to kind of like, you know, reuse a lot of the code and the logic and you know, the kind of the same old layout of what we had already created. And so here you can edit the task. You can add a new task here. It's been a while. And you can see you can add one, and then of course you can delete one as well. Same thing there. It's a little bit different. We don't have a one thing we did do different here is instead of having like the edit and the delete on a detail list, we just put it on the main list because we didn't, for that much data, we didn't feel like need to drill down. So it is a little bit structured differently as far as doesn't have as many screens as the leads does. And then the one thing I don't have on here, and I'm not sure if Anuj was able to get it working locally, but him and Brady towards the end were also working on a calendar view. So we were trying to integrate a calendar view with the tasks. And they had got it locally running on their machine, and we just kind of ran out of time. We weren't able to integrate it into our main build. I think at one point I had it integrated, but the view wasn't working right. So that's kind of where we got kind of cut off. And so anyway, so that's the app. Anything else that you would like us to say, Jerry, or Kyle or Anuj? Do you have anything you want to add?
I just want to say it was really great working together with all of you on this. And it's been a great project, and a huge shout out to all of us who worked on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Hands on the wheel, Kyle.
What was that?
Hands on the wheel.
Hey, it's on the wheel, right? I'm driving. I would like to say that, like, the amount of hours that we all put into this, like, super big props to everyone. Like, the amount of communication, even with the strict work schedules, like you said, we all have jobs, Monday through Friday or whatever, but we were still able to at least stay in contact and get as much done as possible. So I'm pretty stoked with how much we were able to accomplish in the time we had.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing I'll add too is this is actually being, you can tell from the description in the bar, but we actually did get this hosted on Heroku, which took us a couple of days to get that figured out and working too.
But what an accomplishment, that putting this together and having this done and in what you guys did. What it's come together. Can you, Greg, do you have any of the code that you can share?
I'm at work too.
Oh.
So I have a little bit of freedom to do this, but I don't have it on my local machine.
It's okay. Don't worry. I just thought I would ask to see if you had that to share, so that way the people that were on could kind of see, what it looked like with everything and what things look like running in the background.
Let me see.
I have the code.
Anuj, can you?
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, I have the code. Let me just make sure. I have 2 copies. I have like an updated version, so I just want to make sure it's the right one. Yeah, it's the right one. Okay. Okay, can you guys see?
Gotcha.
Okay, so I guess I'll start out with the server. So the server was what I mostly worked on. So this is obviously like the root of the server. We have the chorus. This is just setting that for for the front end side, and then this is where I passed in the app to all the routes to let Express know of the routes, and obviously had it running on here. And there were a few things I actually didn't learn until afterwards, until we had already finished and turned this in. So like I didn't learn about async and await, and then env environment variables. So if I had learned about that, I definitely would have added that in here. But so we have our controllers here, so which are just functions we define in the routes. So there's an index which lets you know. So you can just look in this and you'll see all the resources we have. We have 2 resources here. We have a leads and a tasks. And then these are the routes, and we add these functions onto the controller. And here's where we define them.
Okay.
Yeah, one thing, let me jump in here. I didn't give too good of an overview. So we did use Angular was our front end development platform, and then we did Node.js, like you can see here that Anuj did for the server. We also, the data is actually going to a MongoDB through MLabs, so that's where the data is hitting and being saved. And one thing I think is kind of interesting is that all 5 of us were in the Java course, and we all felt so insecure and so not good about doing Java that, you know, to Anuj and Kyle did the bulk of the back end work here with Node.js, and they did all this like learning that because they were actually in the Java back end through the course. So all of this was kind of like learning as we were going. So the first couple of weeks were like, oh, you know what, we don't feel very confident about our skills in Java, but we feel a lot better with our JavaScript skills. So let's look at trying to get a back-end server and using Node and Express. So that's what they learned and did this too. So
yeah. And it's been really fun. I found that I really like Node.js a lot, and I've gotten so much better, and I can actually, like, I look at this now and I feel like there's a few things I can do better. I want to use async and await, and we could also have made this a little more intricate, but it's just a little simple server for now. And then here are our models. And then actually for this leads model, when we were just starting out and we weren't exactly sure what a CRM is or like what we actually wanted on it. So I just looked one up. I just looked up CRM examples on Google. And then I signed up for a free 14-day trial on something called Zoho CRM. So some of these things I just kind of took from there. I saw that they had a lead owner, their phone, their lead source, lead status. So that's where these come from. So Kyle, Greg, do you guys want to add anything?
no, I don't think so, unless there's any more questions from Jerry or anybody else.
I'd like to throw out there that the login server that is working now is 100% Greg's. Like, it's working functionality and ability to actually log in things. That's all Greg.
Come on, Kyle. I wasn't gonna say anything. They wouldn't have known.
I built one, like, it would work locally, and like I have it, you know, hosted on my website just to see if I could get it working in a live environment. But for the life of me, I couldn't merge it into their stuff, like into the front end that Greg had working. So we just ended up going with the login server that he had built because it actually worked.
Well, we were able to get it integrated with our front end. Just had problems getting Kyle's integrated. What he built was, you know, a lot more. Like what he built was truly the whole back end of the server. So what I did, kind of in the very beginning, just so we could get going, was we're using Firebase for the authorization, because with the Angular 2 module for Angular, it makes working with Firebase quite simple, and especially for the basic logging in was simple. So the login is hitting a Firebase database, and then all the other data is hitting the Mongo database that Anuj had built for this backend.
Okay, very, very cool, guys. Tell me, I do have a couple questions. I want to know, how did you guys divide up the responsibilities? I know Kyle was telling us, you know, that you did things, Anuj has done things, but is there any more you want to add to how you all divided up the responsibilities between you and the three of you and the rest of the group?
You know, it was kind of weird because I think that's one of the hardest parts getting going, because everybody doesn't want to say they're an expert and doesn't want to fail maybe or let the team down. But I think everybody was kind of like, I think one of the things I kept saying was like, you know, what does everybody feel most comfortable with? And of course, we all realized that we didn't feel very strong with Java and Java Spring Framework. So, but Kyle had said he had been working on a back end, on the back end using Node.js, and Anuj had mentioned that. So when they said they were willing to try that, then I think no one stopped them. And then Brady and Bailey and I, what we kind of did was we all just kind of said, let's take a week, and it might have been a week or two, but let's come up with a week and let's each kind of like start with our own front end, and then we can kind of see what we want to go with. And so that's kind of how we split the front end, the back end up. And then I guess the main front end that I originally designed is one that we actually went with as far as our main build. And then Bailey helped with kind of tweaking that, cleaning it up, testing it. And like I said, Brady, the last probably week and a half, 2 weeks, he was working on his calendar, which I wish we had got that in there, because I know he spent a lot of time on that, and it looked really cool. So
yeah, we spent a few hours.
Go ahead, Anuj.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, Brady, because after I had finished like with the server, and so originally I was actually kind of trying to do the tasks on the front end, like create the front end for it with Angular, but it was just way over my head. So yeah, Greg was the one who pretty much did everything on that end. I had tried for a few days, but it wasn't working out. So Brady and I, at first we worked together on the calendar, but it was mostly him. Like I just could not get a grip on Angular at all. But we spent hours, like it took us 3 hours just to kind of like get just a calendar to show up, just like a calendar that does absolutely nothing. And then Brady was the one who pretty much figured everything out and actually added some functionality to it. So yeah, it's a real bummer that we don't have it up today, but he did spend a lot of time on it.
But what you guys have has come together very well, and it'll be interesting to see if this is something that moves forward and you guys get to launch it. I'm certainly excited and looking forward to that, in the future, for you guys to be able to say that you have that and you've completed that. And, it's definitely got something great to add to your resume as well, and your portfolio if you decide that you want to build your own personal websites, which employers really, really do like to see. So if that's something you guys have, I definitely want to see what you guys have for sure. Tell me, what roadblocks did you guys, or tell me 2 of the roadblocks you guys may have run into, and how'd you overcome them?
One that I ran into was just dealing with the fact that like it was towards the last 3 weeks, and like I said, I was kind of dealing with the tasks, and I was really like stressed out because I was having a super hard time just figuring out how to do it, and I'm trying to watch all these videos and just trying to learn it, but it just wasn't coming together. And I knew I was the one tasked with it, but I had a really hard time just trying to tell my team, like, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing. I can't do this. Can one of you guys step in and do that? And I was kind of like, it took me a week to just gather myself and just like, come out and say it, because I felt like I was letting the team down, but it was like, it's letting the team down even more if I pretend to like, if I try to keep going through this and then at the end of the day have nothing to show up when I was tasked with something. So I might as well just let them know now that I can't handle this. So that was one major roadblock I had hit.
Yeah, the one I kind of had was in the very beginning, and it sounds stupid now, but for some reason, the work that we had done with GitHub had been a while back, and I could not figure out how to get uploading to GitHub, and it's so stupid now, because then once I figured it out, it's so doggone easy, but I had a hard time getting that going, and then I feel like I'm like the GitHub guru as far as uploading and all that, versions and everything and syncing. But in the beginning, I remember I was reaching out to the group saying, how are you guys getting this stuff on the GitHub, on the shared, like I guess I had done it with just my own repository, but for some reason it was freaking me out, or I wasn't syncing in my mind how to do it just because it was a shared repository. But then towards the end, I think I was probably the GitHub guru.
Very, very good. If you guys
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Kyle, be careful, please. You're making me nervous here. I feel like I'm riding with you.
I'm parked now.
If you guys had 2 more weeks, what would you have added?
Well, the calendar for one.
Definitely the calendar. Like, I really wish I was at home, because I have screenshots of when they were showcasing it for the group. Like, what was it, last week or something like that? Or 2 weeks ago. I took a couple screenshots. Like, it really was impressive. And then after we hopped off our meeting, Brady, Anuj, and I were just kind of goofing around, and we're talking on Zoom. And out of nowhere, Brady found a bug and was able to patch it, and basically made the so the way it had worked was the color scheming. Each thing on the calendar had its own color, and you could drag and drop, like from Saturday to Sunday, it would all be this color for that, event, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to actually get that functionality working while we were on Zoom. And it was like, what a news, like a line of code was misspelled or something like that. And it instantly started working. But like, I would definitely want to see that calendar get put into production on that. It looked really cool.
And definitely share that if that's something that you have. Make sure it's shared. If that's something you can put out and send the link to, I'd certainly enjoy the opportunity to see it. That's for sure. It gives you a better idea of everything and all the work that you guys put into this. So, from each of you, tell me why you chose Woz U, and what do you see yourself doing now that you graduated?
I chose Woz U mostly because I felt that it was going to be flexible with me also holding a day job. So I think that was the main reason that I probably went with Woz U. Also, actually, how I found out about Woz U is actually from Steven. I've actually with my day job, I've done some Access and VBA programming, and so I was watching videos from Steve, and then that's how when he joined you guys, that's how I found out about Woz U, and then that's kind of what led me to the path I'm on now. I'm sorry, what was the second part of your question?
What are you planning on doing after graduation?
Oh. So, well, I have on my day job, what I'm doing is I'm actually already starting a project to design something for the company that I work for. Now, the company I work for is in the logistics industry. It's not a technology type company, but I have an idea for a tool that I can create and then present, and I'm hoping it'll add enough value to the company that I'm not even like right now worried about them paying for it or anything like that. I kind of just want to see if I can get something like that working at a value to really kind of help for my resume and for the future. And I'm kind of at this point, I'm kind of leaning to want to try to maybe do some freelance work is what I'm really kind of looking at, maybe trying to do, because my day job isn't that bad. So I'm kind of thinking if I could maybe do some freelance to kind of maybe build up my experience and my skills, and then see where that leads down the road.
Make sure you send me a message either on Slack or email me to send you information from LegalZoom of how to set up your own LLC if you don't know how to do that, and stuff like that. And I've got that information that I certainly share with you.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Thank you.
One of the things, or the main reason why I chose to go with Woz U was because you have the Woz for Life program. So you can always come back and, enroll in new mods and new courses. And I found that as a potential asset because, technology is always moving. It's always changing. There's always different versions of something, or something new is coming out. So I figure in a few years from now, or even a year from now, or sometimes even a month from now, or a few months from now, some of the things we learn become obsolete. or deprecated. So I figured it'd be really helpful to just pay once and then keep coming back to learn the things that are changing in our world. And what I want to do going forward is I want to gather more experience. So I want to just start creating some more personal projects. I'm also thinking about freelancing, but for the most part, I just want to start creating some personal projects and then really focusing on becoming a better developer in general. So I want to learn. I want to get better on the front end. I realize that's my weakest part. So I'm going to put a little more effort on building my front end skills.
Very good. And Kyle, you still with us?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
All right.
Like, if I'm being honest with myself, the big reason I chose Woz U is because I've been a big fan of Steve Wozniak since I was a kid, and I might have fangirled a little when I found out he had a school. Just saying. But like, when I started looking into the school, it looked really intuitive, and the Woz for Life thing was pretty cool to me, that you could pay your tuition and then have access to all the rest of the curriculum from the other courses when you were done. I mean, most boot camps don't do that. You'd have to pay another tuition, go back through, do the same thing. But with Woz U, that was pretty cool to me. But I think what I'm going to plan on doing, there's a company here in town that they're a web development company. So I was going to try and get an internship there to try and jumpstart into the, web development field.
Well, if I can help with that, let me know. If I can help reach out to anybody, if you don't have any contacts, please let me know.
Thank you. Also,
thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Team Weekend Coders, that was awesome. Crowd goes wild for you guys.
Hey, a quick question, Jerry. Are we able to maintain our Slack access to then? Is that how that works?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't go away for you guys. The only thing that I would need to be contacted for with regards to access to your LMS would be if you guys want to take advantage of Woz for Life. Okay. And it's just simple, easy message what you want to go into. And I just let my registrar know, and they get you access.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Sweet. Also, with the Woz for Life thing, will we still have access to Exeter to get the other pieces of curriculum, or will that be a separate system that we're going to be running to access that?
No, you will use your same LMS that you've been logging into. It'll be just like you have, but you'll just regain access to like programming foundations or things, the different areas, your 107 class. I'm just totally lost my train of thought there, but just the different classes you all went through from 101 to 108, you would actually have access to coming back to. I just, again, would need to know what it is that you were wanting to get into.
Oh, I gotcha.
And in the chat, Tim is our registrar. He actually gets you that access. But if you guys want to let me know, I'll certainly forward a message to him, and he'll unlock that for you.
Awesome.
You guys did great. I appreciate the extra time and answering my questions. Showing me the code that you guys have put together, and then even talking about the calendar that you guys will get added to this. Hopefully soon, so we can see the final debut of everything.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Ammon, do you have any questions?
No.
Hi, Ammon.
Final thought?
Hello. Nobody died.
That's a good thing. We're all still here. Kyle made it to a safe place since he was driving.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Hey, in my defense, I was on Bluetooth.
Okay.
It was a fun joke. So he said he was driving. I told him he couldn't share his screen.
Yeah.
Excellent team Weekend Coders. Again, I appreciate you guys and sticking on and staying on board with us, and sharing all of your details and what you guys did, the greats and the not so greats. I certainly, again, my applause goes out to you guys, and I'm looking forward to the future and what is best yet to come for everybody. So please, we do have 3 more groups following. I would certainly invite you all to stay on and watch the next 3 presenters. Okay, so if you don't have any more questions,
Awesome.
you guys very, very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll be hopping back on once I can get back to my warehouse.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
See you guys. Hey, good work, everyone.
Absolutely.
I'm going to remember to shout out Brady and Bailey later, let them know how it went. So I will talk to you guys later.
Team Dauntless. Do I have anybody here representing that team? Jesse, I see you are here for your team. Are you still here with us? Jesse Lind?
Which team are you looking for? Team Dauntless?
Yeah, is anybody, any representative, or is this Mukhtar?
Let's see who we got on here.
Yeah, I don't have anybody from Dauntless on. I know Jesse Lind was on here with us.
Jesse's part of the Grinch's posse.
He's part of Grinch's posse.
Who's
Jesse, are you still on with us? I know Jane's here.
Yeah, I hear my name now. What's going on?
I didn't see anybody from Team Dauntless on the chat here. Excuse me, I'm sorry, on the meeting here with us, and I wanted to see if you and Jane were ready to go, and if you would like to take that position.
Sure, I'm fine with that.
Excellent, Jane. How about yourself?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Well, welcome to you both. I talked to Jesse a little bit. Jane, I had many conversations with you here recently, so I'm certainly excited to see what you guys are going to be presenting here with us. Like I had mentioned prior, I know the countless amount of hours that you guys have put in, to doing this project and what it takes to do these things. And I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what you guys have put together and, getting questions from the group. Ammon's joined us. I see one of our mentors, Tyler's joined us. We also have one of our ambassadors online, watching in this demo day. So let's, without further ado, we can certainly move forward. Jane and Jesse, whoever would like to go ahead and share their screen and get us started, let's please do so.
Absolutely. Going here. I'd like to say I really think we should have named our team Apollo 13. We were the successful failure.
Oh, God.
So, sorry, couldn't resist. The process was far more valuable than the result, if that makes sense, I think. So let me get this screen shared here going. All right. We used Angular as our front end. Express was our back end. We used MySQL for the database component. Is this up and running? Everybody see?
Yes.
Yep,
Okay.
I got you there.
All right. So basic concept of our app. Let's see. Come Christmas time. Hold on. I need to move to another room. I got some loud sounds in the background. Hang tight. My apologies. Come Christmas time, everybody sends everybody their wish list. This is what I want for Christmas. Everybody's writing it down, trying to remember who bought who, what, and so that no duplicates are created. So we wanted to create something that everybody could write down what they want on this app. Every user could see what everybody else wants, and ideally they'd be able to select an item off someone's gift list saying, I'm going to buy that. Everyone would be able to see what's been taken, therefore duplicate gift purchases would not occur. Does that make sense so far?
Yes. Thanks.
Okay. That was the idea. And then the further idea beyond that would be that the actual person who had received these gifts would never be able to see what's actually been taken, so to speak. So everyone can see what's been already spoken for except the actual receiver of that gift. We thought this would be a very simple concept. Sounded like almost too simple, but that was not the case. Very difficult, and we got a lot less further along than we'd anticipated. But I'll show you what we do have. Very simple login screen. Here's my profile. This list right here, as you can see, is not currently active. That's where all the wish lists that I would create that would have shown up. Down here is something that we were using just for testing, just so we could actually verify we were logged in. If I wanted to create a new wish list, I could do so up here. This part is not connected to the database yet. That's an in-process part. If I go to my home screen, I can see, so this is everybody in my family. And if I want to see, again, this is a list of people that is not linked up to our database yet, but I should be able to click on somebody here, see what they want for Christmas or whatever holiday it is, and then choose what I want to buy from that list. I can go back to my profile page, which shows me my own lists, and I can log out. Logging back to the login screen, if I want to register for the first time, I could register right here. And that would take me, it would populate to my SQL workbench. If you wanted to go in and actually see what's going on, let me bring up my schemas here. And we can see we have all the individuals here. Very simple database. Password is salted and hashed. So in recap, we have an app that lets you generate a wish list and lets everyone see it and lets you see everybody else's wish list. Jane, do you want to add anything before I show the code?
No. You know, as Jesse said, I think this any team experience is an exercise of success and failure. I think we may have experienced more failure. But to just give Jesse and Bobby a shout out for all the hard work that they did, and just to say that there were three of us who really spent an awful lot of time on this project. I think we learned a lot. I just wish we could have shown a little bit more, or a lot more.
Okay, so I don't have a whole lot of specifics I wanted to show you, but we just have your basic, let's see, what code do I want to point out? It's Angular in the front end, Express in the back end. Let me show you some of the routes. Jane basically spearheaded the routes. Oh my goodness. So we have a bunch of get routes we have for all the different pages, post routes. We want to make sure we had some sort of authentication going on, JSON, tokens, and so forth. As you can see here, we have like multiple. This is code that was built that we didn't even get to implement yet, that was going to implement the actual gift list. I was trying to show you in the app earlier that we hadn't got to that part where the gifts were active and dynamically interacting with the database. That would have all been on the Angular side. So here's our gift component. It's really just started, and we have our gift service. Excuse me, let me find that gift service right here in process. And that's one thing that we really would have liked to, like if we had the 2 more weeks, so to speak, to really get that down, where at least people could generate a gift list from their profile page that would be visible to other users. And if we had another 2 weeks after that, again, we would have loved to have that option to show a view permission. So again, you wouldn't be able to see gifts that were taken off of your list, so you would be surprised. So that's a little bit of the code. If anyone wants to see anything more specifically, I can pull it up, but what other questions do y'all have?
Oh, that actually looks great, and it's just something I love to see. You know, what it took to create what you just shared with us. You know, like I shared a little bit earlier, doing something that I had done, I get it, and it's absolutely amazing. And I like how you went through and, you know, you showed me different ways that I could have done things that probably would have made it a lot simpler than something that there's some of the things that I did put together. So great job to you both.
Thank you.
You know, Jesse, great job with the presentation. Yeah. You know, Jane, great job with everything that you guys did and put things together. You know, what did you guys do to separate, you know, everybody doing different things? How did you guys break up the task?
Jane, you want to go, or do you want me to speak to that?
I think we all, at least 3 of us, took or maybe that was the problem. We all sort of took what we were most interested in learning more about. So Jesse was more interested in learning more about the front end and really getting Angular down, and Bobby really wanted to felt comfortable with building the database and really wanted to learn more about MySQL. And I really think of I really like more of the back end, learning more about the back end functionality. I think I'm much more of a functionality person than a design person. I kind of get more annoyed with CSS than find it fulfilling to format, to style things. So, and I think the Dan and Patrick really wanted to do more of the styling, and we may have held them back a little bit in that it took so long for us to get the functionality up and running that the styling was really done more on the fly at the very end.
By the database guy, ironically, which wasn't me. So,
what challenges did y'all face?
I would say one of the biggest challenges I noticed right off the bat, just besides simple lack of experience, was delegation. As Jane alluded to, 3 of us did the majority of the work, and it wasn't because we were not trying to give the other people work. We didn't. Well, me personally, I did not know enough of the process, what was going on, how to delegate to the other people that wanted to help, but we all were so lost. It's kind of hard to tell someone what to do when you don't even know what you need to do. If that makes sense. And again, that's why I said at the beginning of the presentation, the process was so valuable for me, and I can probably say for us, because we learned a whole lot of things that don't work, and learned a lot of concepts and ideas and just flow and in creating a project. And I mean, I would do this entire thing radically different if I had to do it all over again.
Right. And you know, I took on the role of Scrum Master 2 weeks in a row just because of what Jesse was saying about delegation and making sure we were getting things done. And you know, sometimes that really just takes a good organizer and somebody who's used to leading and looking at the tasks that need to be handled, and knowing how and when to communicate. But as Jesse said, I think we were all kind of overwhelmed with the number of tasks that needed to be handled. So even with better delegation towards the end, I think there was just there was a lot to do technically.
Yes, absolutely. And there's always quite a bit that's got to be done that sneaks up on us that we may not know needs to be done. You know, but with you making the mistakes that you guys said you make, Jesse, you said that if you would do this again, it'd be done terribly or horribly differently. You said, you know, that's how we learn, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Am is shaking his head. He agrees. Very good. So,
for all your support, by the way, really appreciate your helping us along the process now.
Ammon was indispensable.
Yep. Yep.
And just you know, just immensely patient.
You can always tell how helpful Ammon is if he's got multiple colors. One color means he's just been sitting back. No, I'm just kidding. Ammon is always great. You know, I come to him when he's on campus here and just reach out to him and, you know, ask him different questions just for my own knowledge. And if it's a question that's asked of me that I may not know, you know, I go to him, or if, you know, if he's not on campus, and I hit him up on Slack. So it's definitely nice to, and he is a huge asset. That's for sure. So we appreciate that. And we appreciate you guys, you know, and everything that you do, and, you know, sharing this with us. How would you guys have changed things though if you had 2 more weeks?
Well, I think I alluded to it earlier, just adding the gifts into the database, the ability to create those lists. And then, you know, if we got that working, then again, the user permissions that I was mentioning. We didn't, and, you know, and actually solidifying the styling was never completed. One person started on that. It was supposed to be 2 people, and we didn't even, we weren't even able to get that far. So.
And so I want to hear from both of you, and telling us why you chose Woz U, and now that you graduated, what are your goals after graduation?
Go ahead, Jane.
Well, I think for me, one of the major reasons why I chose Woz U, besides the course offering, was it was purely a financial decision. I'm a veteran, and I use the GI Bill to fund my education. So very few boot camp programs actually accept the GI Bill. So that was a major, that was one of the major reasons why I chose it. Also, I mean, having Steve Wozniak's name behind the school gives a certain amount of credibility to the program as well.
He's a great guy. You know, we get the opportunity when comes around and does his visits here to say hello, and he'll walk around to pretty much all the employees that are available and say hi to you. Jesse, what about yourself, buddy?
The reason that I chose Woz U, well, I heard about it was when I was initially looking into Bethel Tech, who uses the same curriculum. I couldn't go through Bethel Tech because they didn't have the GI Bill like James. I'm a veteran as well. But Bethel as a whole, as a company, as an organization, and always does superb work. They chose Woz U. I know is going to be the best, so went with them. I also was very, very much excited about the Woz U for life. Just the idea that I'm future-proofing my education by going with this school. That was a huge selling point.
Lifelong access to curriculum and further technologies is incredibly important, because as we all know in this group, that developers are lifelong learners and have to be lifelong learners, because technologies change in a snap.
I can't even begin to tell you the amount of updates, and Ammon and Tyler will probably attest to that. You know, the amount of updates that we see going through, and, you know, to the curriculum. You know, Woz for Life is such an asset, and as you said, it's so helpful because as developers, we're always learning. There's always something new. I always use the adage, you know, think about how many times our cell phones get updated. You know, Apple or your Androids. Think of how many updates you get on those phones. Well, somebody's actually writing that software for those updates. You know, so there's always something changing, you know, in this industry, and we want to make sure that you're able to change with that and be able to be a great asset, you know, to any company you go to work for, or the company that you built yourself. You know, so thank you guys very much. Ammon, do you have anything to add?
You all survived.
Yep.
No, every group project phase always ends up more difficult than everybody thinks when they get into it. Right? It's kind of like, for me, it's more like Like if I were to picture myself right now running a marathon, I might be able to get to the end, but I'm going to be a hot mess doing it. What comes out of the end might not be exactly what I wanted, but I got there, right? So the important part is the journey, and you got functionality done, you got all the core stuff, you got what you needed to do. It wasn't as great as a project as a lot of people expect when they get to the end. You kind of realize through the learning process how difficult it is. And Jesse, like you said earlier, if you were to do it again, you could probably do it in half the time, right? All of the learning that you did just makes your future development that much stronger, right? So it is a great learning process. So if there's anything you can take from that, take that you now know some things not to do either, right? As well as all the things to do.
I think one of the things that I've learned as I've started to go on to study some things in more depth is that one of the things that the group project has made me a lot more adept with is figuring out errors and debugging errors, because it's kind of it's the never-ending story and the gift that keeps on giving, so to speak. Is darn, how do I, here's the error, how do I get past it? And as soon as you get past it and you hit run again, it's another error, and it's all a learning process.
Very cool, you guys. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Thank you for sharing your final presentation. To everybody, great job so far. This has been absolutely amazing. And I'm looking forward to the future and working with you. Like I said to the last group, you have myself and Andrew here to help you out and in your career search. Andrew does service the Woz U part of the program, and I actually work with the SCI powered by Woz graduates. So one of the two of us will definitely take care of you and helping you with these next steps. So thank you all very, very much. And we look forward to, bigger and better things to come with you all. If you have questions, please let us know.
Great job, everybody.
And move forward in doing so.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your excitement, and thank you for being here as well to hear us out. I'm going to kick it off because I was week 2. Scrum Master, and I came up with the idea for Crummy, which is a CRM, and that's where the Crummy comes from, and it's our first ever CRM that any of us developed. So it's kind of stands for a crummy piece of software. But I think it surprised a lot of us in what we were able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. And basically, the premise of the software is to create a tool for social media influencers and people that use Facebook, Instagram, and have these huge followings to be able to sign up for our software and log in and basically have a form on their website or a messenger on their site as well, or connect their Facebook messages to the software and basically gain information and insights about their supporters. So that's the basic premise of our software. Supporters belong to influencers, and influencers can log in, see a list of their supporters, their first name, last name, email. And as you know, in any CRM, data is power, and we want to make this data available to influencers, to our users, and they should be able to export their data, create MailChimp email campaigns, whatever it is they want to do with that, it's theirs. And that's the premise of the software. Terrance is going to go over a little bit now about how the development process went along, things we learned, and that kind of stuff.
Cool. Nice, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I think that, I know you guys have probably seen a couple of CRMs already, so it's not going to be anything magical that you can see behind here that you guys haven't seen already. But I think that the more exciting part about this project of ours was the journey through this. As Chris explained, the intention was to intentionally build a chatbot experience so that we can simplify the gathering of information from influencers, by the influencers from the followers. And, I don't believe that we actually, because we're so new at this and because this is our first CRM, like we weren't really aware of how big of a task that really could be. So when we first traveled into developing this concept and we were doing the research, digging through all the documentation, we're like, whoa, this is a little bit more complicated than we thought. And so by breaking things down, like creating like the simpler tool, just the first function of how do we gather the information and how do we organize it in a database of our own so that it can be done so in its simplest format, that's when we're like, okay, cool, the CRM concept is definitely going to work in our benefit, because then we can apply that form in a chatbot that we can build down the line. So, everything, I guess, can be gathered in one shot. And so in building this tool up, one of the things that what we had encountered in developing this was, because of the size of the project, we didn't realize that we were going to be stepping on each other's toes the way that we were. Being that this is the first time we've actually worked on a team, as far as I'm aware, I think all of our teammates were just new to working amongst others. And so when it came time to working through GitHub and working through conflict resolution per each page, we had a discussion with Eamon at some point about like how to better operate in that space. And the conversation that was had is, because this is a smaller project, the odds of us working on the same pages of code were a lot more likely. And so, and that's, I guess that's common knowledge or a common understanding in this field. And so the decision that we came to was that instead we would work in cycles. And so, if we knew that there was a specific task that needed to be handled, Chris would take it on, Karthik would take it on, so on and so forth. And we would give each other space to work on the parts that we were going to be responsible for, whether that it would be that week, that day, or whatever the case may be. We would present it to each other together through Slack and through Zoom calls. And then once we knew that everything was functioning, we'd push it to master, and the next person would take a turn building the next part. And that just because one person was focusing on the development doesn't mean that was only one of us working on it. So we would take Zoom calls together and figure out like, okay, cool, like this, maybe this would work, or maybe that would work in regards to, I guess, correcting any of the code problems that we had while we were building up. And because we worked in cycles as opposed to working at the same time in such a small space, we avoided a lot of conflicts and we're able to build a complete product, as you're going to see shortly. And let me see, what was, I think communication also too was another point that we had to learn how to adjust to, being that throughout the semester we've all been working on our own for the most part. And so we had to learn like, okay, cool, how do we sync our schedules? How do we all receive information? Like, how do we best receive information? Because in the forefront, as soon as we started, we all talked about each other's strengths and weaknesses, so that we knew like, okay, cool, like who's strong at front end, who's strong at back end, who wants to take on newer challenges. And that definitely benefited us in regards to like, okay, cool, what, in regards to who wants to take on the new challenges, how do we take them on and how do we make them time appropriate for, so that we could hit the deadlines that we needed to hit. And I think, our team did a great job, like adjusting as the, punches came in. And, that was definitely I think that experience definitely personally, I should say, strengthened my understanding of what it's going to be like in the real world in regards to like making adjustments on the fly. Like there's no perfect process. Everything is duct tape and strings, and it's just about how well you can adapt it to your process. And so if I can give the mic over to Karthik, I think he's actually going to break down the functionality of the site and walk you guys through it.
Karthik, are you able to share your screen? Okay, perfect.
Great. So cool. So this is Kermi. I'll walk you guys through first becoming a supporter, and then followed by signing up as an influencer or a user in common parlance, and then logging in as an influencer. So we'll just start with the potential supporter would just type in their first and last name and their email. Do you guys have it on yours?
I'll put it up on my side.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second, guys. Chris, try to launch it on your side. It's actually not launching on mine either.
Yeah, let me check the AWS.
Mm-hmm.
It's super possible that during our preliminary testing, we might have hit the limit of the free tier.
Okay, cool. Let me see.
I'll tell you right now.
If anything, if you guys want to just launch the master from your local, then we can just navigate from there.
Okay.
I'll open up VS Code right now. Hold on a second. Okay.
Yeah. AWS seems to be running.
Okay, no worries. Hold on a second. I'm actually going to launch it from the VS Code in a second, you guys.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is it npm? And was it 42 or 5,000 for that? Local. It's 42. I just had the site up. Why is it not on there? Give me some issues. Let's see. This one can be found. Give me 1 second, you guys. I'm gonna try to unlaunch this one more time. Do this from.
Okay, let me see. I think
Okay,
I'll have it.
I'm just gonna.
Okay, I got it on my local host. Okay,
Cool.
let me
I
share.
do too, so I'm just gonna.
Oh, you got it on your local host?
Okay, great.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, so like I was saying before, you go to try to become a supporter, enter in the potential supporter enters in their the first and last name, email, and they sign up. And then under, if you want to sign up as an influencer, to sign up as an influencer, just enter in your first and last name, to email and username and password to create a new account. So we'll say so then after the potential influencer signs up as a new influencer, they log in through by clicking login at the top on the top of the screen. So far, we're able to log in as a new influencer. So it introduces you saying hello, and then your name, welcome to your dashboard. And then it starts with your account information and then your list of your followers. So at this time, we have all the followers go to all users. And so for the next steps, we have to filter each influencer by the users, the supporters that they have. So every influencer has the supporters that correspond to them. You can see here the follower you just added, John, has just been added as a supporter. And so then we use that information. Someone who has a lot of supporters or leads, they can see that all through their dashboard. So next features from there, if we had a few more weeks, we could just filter supporters by influencer, and then give the ability to delete supporters.
Yeah, once we actually got the very minimal sort of viable product down, which is what we have here, we went and created, I'll share my screen here, Karthik, our plans for the future, which I'll share here. That it's at this point we have everything functional, and we really just needed to do a little restructuring of the layout. This is what we currently have: our router outlet with the follower sign up, influencer sign up at the sign up route, login with a login component, and the dashboard. And what we would need to do in order for this to work the way